He thought he was just capturing the beauty of lions, elephants, and the wild, but instead, the wild captured his heart. Ethan, a wildlife photographer, stood one night under the African sky, listening to the call of animals echoing in the silence. But then, he heard something else. A Muslim villager whispering, "Allahu Akbar." His heart trembled. The stars above, the Quran he later discovered, the peace he found in sujud, all of it led him from chasing wildlife to finally chasing the creator of all life. From behind the camera to before Allah, Ethan embraced Islam, and his story is proof that guidance comes where you least expect it. The photographer who found Allah in the wilderness. The forest was alive with whispers. Every leaf fluttered as if breathing. Every stream murmured as though reciting a secret. Every creature moved with purpose, carrying in its fragile body a reflection of something far greater than itself. In the middle of this wilderness stood Ethan Walker, a man with a camera slung around his neck, eyes sharp as hawks, heart as restless as the wind. Ethan was a renowned wildlife photographer, famous for capturing moments so intimate that people swore his photos had souls in them. A tiger's quiet yawn at dawn, a falcon slicing the clouds, a deer frozen mid-leap under silver moonlight. His work had graced magazines, galleries, and screens worldwide. But no photograph could capture the emptiness inside him. He had spent years chasing animals across savannas, jungles, deserts, and Arctic tundras. But when he returned to the city, to the applause of his admirers, the silence in his heart grew louder. One evening, as he sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, sifting through thousands of images, he whispered under his breath, "Why do I feel nothing?" He had seen beauty, more than most humans could ever dream of. He had stood inches away from a lion, felt the earth tremble under an elephant's step, watched baby turtles race toward the sea under the stars. Yet, he could not shake the feeling that all of it was pointing to something beyond his lens. Something he could not name. Something missing. The project that changed everything. Months later, Ethan received a special assignment. A renowned wildlife journal had commissioned him to travel to the mangrove forests of South Asia, a place teeming with rare birds, crocodiles, and the elusive Bengal tiger. It was a dream project, yet Ethan felt an unusual tug at his heart. Something told him this trip would be different. When he landed, the heat wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. The air smelled of salt and mud. Fishermen rowed narrow boats across winding rivers, singing in a language Ethan did not know. Children laughed barefoot on the shore. Women with veiled faces carried baskets of fish on their heads, their eyes shining with dignity. And above all, the adhan echoed, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar." The words pierced him unexpectedly. The call to prayer floated through the humid air like a melody woven into nature itself. For a moment, Ethan froze, his camera hanging at his side. He didn't know what it meant, but the sound sent shivers across his skin. "What is that?" he asked his local guide, Rahman, a gentle middle-aged man with a thick beard and eyes full of kindness. Rahman smiled. "That is the call to prayer. Muslims are called 5 times a day to remember their Lord." Something in Rahman's voice carried a peace Ethan had never known. Nights under the stars. The days passed with Ethan venturing deep into the forests, his camera ready, his senses alive. He photographed kingfishers diving like jewels into rivers, monkeys swinging across tangled branches, and finally, after weeks of waiting, he captured the majestic Bengal tiger, its amber eyes glowing like fire through the mangroves. But it wasn't just the animals that left him spellbound. It was Rahman. Every time the adhan was heard, Rahman would excuse himself gently, find a clean spot, roll out a small prayer mat, and pray. Ethan watched in silence, puzzled. One night, as they camped under a sky littered with stars, Ethan finally asked, "Why do you pray, even here in the middle of the forest? Don't you get tired?" Rahman looked at him, his face glowing in the firelight. "Brother Ethan, when you photograph a tiger, you see its beauty, yes? But who created that beauty? Who gave life to the bird you chase with your lens? My prayer is not a burden, It is gratitude. It is connection. It is peace. Those words sank deep into Ethan's restless heart. Gratitude, connection, peace. He thought about the hundreds of hours he had spent chasing beauty through a lens, never stopping to ask, who created it? The night of the storm. One evening, while returning from a shoot, their small boat was caught in a fierce storm. Waves rose like mountains, rain slashed against their faces, and thunder cracked across the black sky. Ethan clutched his camera bag desperately, his heart hammering in terror. He shouted, "We're going to die." But Rahman was calm. Even as the boat rocked violently, he raised his hands and whispered, "Ya Allah, protect us. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." His voice was steady, filled with trust. Ethan stared at him through the chaos, bewildered. How could this man remain so composed when death felt inches away? Minutes later, by the mercy of calm winds, the storm eased. The boat survived. Ethan sat trembling, drenched to the bone, staring at Rahman, who was already whispering words of thanks. That night, while drying his clothes by the fire, Ethan whispered for the first time in years, "God, if you are real, show me the truth." Dove, a photograph beyond the lens. The days that followed felt different. Every animal Ethan photographed seemed to carry a message. A bird feeding its chicks reminded him of mercy. A deer standing alert in silence reminded him of trust. The stars above seemed like lanterns leading somewhere higher. But the moment that changed him forever came one early morning. He was photographing a sunrise. When he turned and saw Rahman in sujud, his forehead pressed to the earth, whispering words Ethan could not understand. The sight struck him harder than any image he had ever taken. Here was a man, bowing with complete humility, as if pouring his entire soul before the one who made the rivers, the tigers, the trees, and even the sun rising at that very moment. For the first time in his life, Ethan's eyes filled with tears behind the camera. He lowered it slowly, realizing some moments were too sacred to capture. Some moments were meant to be lived. The question that wouldn't leave. Days turned into weeks. The forest became both a home and a mirror for Ethan. Each animal he captured seemed to whisper back a question. Who created me? At night, while reviewing his photographs, he caught himself staring not just at the creatures, but at the perfection behind them. The patterns on a butterfly's wings, so precise and symmetrical, felt less like an accident and more like art. The silent communication between elephants, the way mother crocodiles carried their babies gently in their jaws, the migration of birds across continents. He began to see them not just as subjects, but as signs. Yet, every time the adhin echoed across the mangroves, his heart tightened. The sound was foreign, yet strangely familiar. It was like a forgotten lullaby. Finally, one evening, he asked Rahman, "What do those words mean?" "The call you hear, it stirs something inside me, but I don't know why." Rahman smiled softly, his eyes reflecting the fading orange of the sunset. "It is the adhin, brother. It means, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Come to prayer, come to success." The last phrase, "come to success," echoed inside Ethan like thunder. Success? He had wealth, fame, recognition, but he had no peace. Could success mean something else? The wound inside. That night, Ethan could not sleep. Memories clawed at him. He remembered his childhood when his parents had divorced, leaving him to bounce between homes, never rooted. He remembered how he had thrown himself into photography, chasing the wilderness as a way to escape the wilderness inside his own heart. He remembered relationships that had crumbled, women who had left him because he was always gone, always searching, never satisfied. He remembered awards and exhibitions, standing on stage while people applauded, yet feeling utterly alone once the lights faded. Lying in his tent, staring at the canvas ceiling, he whispered again, "God, if you are there, I need you. I can't keep living like this." Signs in the sky. The next morning, Ethan woke before dawn. The sky was still dark, sprinkled with stars. He walked to the riverbank, camera in hand, but for once he didn't raise it. He just looked. As the horizon slowly bled into gold, a flock of birds rose from the trees, slicing across the sky in perfect formation. His heart skipped. He remembered Rahman's words: gratitude, connection, peace. The words left his lips before he could stop them. Thank you, whoever you are. And for the first time, gratitude didn't feel empty. It felt heard. A village visit. One afternoon, while trekking back from a shoot, Ethan and Rahman passed through a small village. The children gathered around, fascinated by Ethan's camera, giggling as he showed them their faces on the screen. Their joy was so pure, so untainted. The men invited them to sit under a banyan tree, where tea was served in tiny clay cups. Then, as the adhan rose from a nearby mosque, everyone stood, smiling apologetically. "We will pray in return," Rahman said. Ethan watched as the men entered the mosque. Curious, he followed quietly, standing at the back. The sound of dozens of voices reciting in unison, bowing and prostrating together, filled him with awe. It wasn't ritual, it was surrender. It wasn't performance, it was devotion. He felt like he was watching the universe itself align in perfect order. When they finished, a young boy came to him shyly and offered him a date. "Brother, eat." Ethan took it, and tears blurred his vision. He hadn't cried in years, yet here he was, crying over a simple act of kindness, a dream of light. That night, something extraordinary happened. Ethan dreamt he was standing in a vast desert under a night sky, his camera heavy in his hands. But when he looked through the lens, he saw not animals, but stars spelling words he couldn't understand. Then a voice, gentle yet powerful, said, "This is not for your lens. This is for your heart." He woke with his chest heaving, sweat on his brow, but also with a strange peace washing over him. For the first time in his life, he didn't reach for his camera. He reached for the ground, whispering, "God, I'm listening," a dua in the wilderness. The next day, Ethan couldn't hold it in anymore. As they sat by the fire, he turned to Rahman. "Tell me about your God, about your prayers, about Islam. I need to know." Rahman's eyes softened. He began to explain, not with arrogance, but with humility. He spoke about Allah, the one creator of the heavens and earth, the sustainer of every creature Ethan had ever photographed. He explained how Islam wasn't just rituals, but a way of life, a way to live in harmony with creation and with the Creator. Then Rahman recited verses from the Quran, his voice gentle yet powerful. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for those of understanding. Those who remember Allah while standing, sitting, and lying on their sides, and give thought to the creation of the heavens and the earth, saying, "Our Lord, you did not create this aimlessly. Exalted are you." Quran 3:190-191. Ethan froze. His body trembled. Those words were describing him. His whole life of staring at creation, wondering, searching. And now, the answer was right here. With tears streaming down his cheeks, he whispered, This is what I've been looking for." And for the first time, he made a dua of his own. "God, guide me. Please, I don't want to be lost anymore."